Hello folks, it is time for another 40k rant, and this one won't be as vociferous as they usually are. Yeah, it's the next video in our series looking back over the channel and examining if my opinion over the years has changed on certain things as the years have barreled onwards and we all get a little bit older. And this week, it is the turn of Abaddon the Despoiler, the big bad himself. Last time out, I was pretty harsh on good old Abaddon, going as far as to say that there should be another in Abaddon's place, leading the traitor legions, and I picked Decimus, the traitor marine character that the Night Lords trilogy was written basically to set up. Well, I want to give Abaddon his time in the sun, so to speak, and I want to examine what actually makes him work and perhaps what makes him fall apart in terms of being a character. So yes, there will be positives and negatives to this video, but I wanted to show you this first and foremost. It's a piece of art that I found that perfectly encapsulates for me why Abaddon doesn't really work in modern day 40k. The look on his face as he looks towards his demon sword, the countless skulls in his hand as he sits there as more interesting things are going on around him. But Abaddon sits there letting the world pass him by. We'll get into this a little bit later on, but I think this is a perfect encapsulation of what Abaddon does in 40k and why he doesn't really work as a main villain. All credit to the artist here. His name is in the bottom right there. If you want to go and get yourself a bit of artwork from him, that's a good thing to do. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to start with the positives of Abaddon's character. Alright, and there are many positives when it comes to Abaddon. I know, shock horror, but there are. The leading one, at least for me, is his direct link back to the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy. Whilst we all love new things like Decimus in the new books, right? I think that we can all agree that the main big bad of the Chaos side of the galaxy should have seen the end of the Horus Heresy. He should have been there, in the mud, watching everybody fall. Every other leader who came later, who joined Chaos, has been rejected by the Imperium in some way. They're like beaten dogs, do you know what I mean? But only the traitor legions saw this apocalyptic war in the flesh and saw everything they fought for torn down. Even if they put a brave face on it, as some of the Night Lords do and other legions, that's devastating to go through. And let's not forget that many of these older Marines also saw their fathers either die in infamy or be twisted into something so caricature-like terrible that they may as well have died. They may as well be dead, right? This is the stock from which Abaddon is drawn, and I think we can agree that having this link back to the past is one of his greatest strengths. Let's talk about the Black Legion books for a minute. I think Abaddon did a stellar job at showing us Abaddon reclaiming his identity and becoming the guy who forms the Black Legion. His motivations for doing so, his pain at his past being pushed aside, and his moment of slaying the clone of Horus were all essential in getting us to understand this character. Now, do not get me wrong. The Black Legion books are riddled with the same chaos loving that Abaddon is famous for. Chaos Marines are shown as being very overpowered against Black Templars and other Marines, killing them with ease. The Imperium is mocked relentlessly, and Chaos never seems to actually get any pushback from the wars they wage against the Imperium. Do not even get me started on 1,000 Sun Sorcerer killing 5 Grey Knights as if it's nothing. So yes, Abaddon makes some serious mistakes in his books, in the Black Legion books. His chaos-centric writing can make you roll your eyes at times, but the one thing he gets right was the core belief and the brief of the Black Legion novels. Give Abaddon a backstory that is believable, sympathetic, and badass. And he gets that. Yeah? In the Black Legion books, he gets that. He is riddled with guilt and torment and melancholy. And when you find Abaddon in those books, he's sitting on the Vengeful Spirit under a massive pile of ice on some nothing world with nothing on it, just doing experiments. Just twiddling his thumbs. Wandering around the ship. Just chilling. He's not really doing anything, right? And he seems quite cordial. That's the thing about him. When you meet him in those books, he seems quite cordial, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that Abaddon was like, hey guys, how's it going? Oh, you found me. Alright, cool. You know, have you seen these cool things I'm working on? Hey, look at that. Hey, that's cool, that. I don't mind that demon coming out of the walls. He does that sometimes, you know? It was that kind of a thing with Abaddon, and I really enjoyed it. As we go on in those books, we start to see him peel back the mystery that is Abaddon, and you start to see a bit of his pain, and you see the reasons why he creates the Black Legion. It's not out of a sense of badassery. He creates the Black Legion out of desperation. Why is he desperate? He doesn't want to be a failure anymore. He wants to wash that away. He wants to wash the stain of what happened in the Horus Heresy away. I truly believe that Abaddon the Despoiler isn't really in it to destroy the Imperium. Hear me out. I think he's in it to fight. Nothing more, nothing less. But we'll get into that a little bit later on, and why this is a positive and a negative. Okay? His main motivation is to fight and keep fighting. If there are no wars, Abaddon isn't a ruler. Abaddon's not going to rule anything. He doesn't want to rule the Imperium, which winds me up to no end when you see Games Workshop telling you that he does. No, he doesn't, right? If you actually read his character, his wants and motivations, he wants nothing to do with ruling a vast stellar empire, right? He just wants to fight. He's a warrior. And the one thing that terrifies him is a galaxy where his men, his brothers, don't have a place anymore. Abaddon, his key strength to me, he's the everyman. Yes, Horus might be playing all of these games with the Chaos Gods. Yes, most of the Primarchs might be the playthings of the gods, or whatever, and have been manipulated. Abaddon isn't, though. In fact, when he sees Horus have a lack of purpose, when he sees that Horus, when the Chaos Taint is driven from him for a second or two against in his fight against Leman Russ, right? All Abaddon can see is that Horus is riven with doubts. He's sad, and he doesn't know if what he's doing is right, and he probably thinks he shouldn't be. And then, of course, Chaos floods back in, and he's badass Horus again, right? And Abaddon's right, okay, there he is. But I saw that hesitation. Abaddon doesn't want to play games with the gods. That's not what he wants. The main reason, if you read the Horus Heresy books, Abaddon tells you his reason for following Horus. Not just because he's his father, not just because he values him and respects him, at least at the start. No. He follows Horus because he feels that with the Emperor's plan, right, humanity will abandon the Space Marines, and he and his brothers won't have anybody to fight anymore, and won't have a place anymore. And what's more, they may be called and exterminated, just like the Thunder Warriors were by the original Astartes. Okay? That's the fear Abaddon has. He doesn't want any grand design. He doesn't want any plans to rule the galaxy. He wants to fight and keep fighting, and to give his men, the only people he's loyal to are his brothers in the Black Legion. That's it. Okay? It resembles a biker gang, an outlaw biker gang, right? When they're only loyal to each other, and all they want to do is carry on living free and being badass. That's what they want to do, right? They want to be left alone, and they want to fight. They want to take stuff, and they want to fight. They want this eternal war, right? 40k being, there is only war. That's Abaddon's shtick. That's what he wants. He wants 40k to carry on exactly as it is. It's the one part about the Great Rift that I really like, because it fits Abaddon's modus operandi. Abaddon wants to create war that goes on forever. Well, how do you do that if all of the chaos in the galaxy is bottled up into one corner and only comes out sporadically every now and again in a big invasion? Well, you create the Great Rift. Now chaos is everywhere, spreading in all directions. Everybody's having war, everybody's having fun. Wonderful. This is Abaddon's already won. That's my thing in this video. Abaddon has already won. That's it. He's got what he wanted. We now have a setting that probably will never end. There will always be conflict. There will always be more wars for him to fight. There will always be another enemy over the next hill. That's what Abaddon wants. That's what he's desperate for. Okay? And that's why I think it's actually quite a big positive. We've done 10 minutes of positives now. Now that's because there are positives to Abaddon's character. Serious ones. Okay? The talon of Horus being on his hand. And a demon blade being in the other. The armor that he wears is all aesthetic. It all links back to the past. And it all links back to a thing that Abaddon can't let go. Which is why I'd love to see a point of view chapter, 1 or 2 maybe, in modern 40k. When we get to, not that I trust any of the writers to actually do that, but but when we see inside of his brain, I want to know what he's thinking. What does he think about the wars that are going on? Why does he feel the need to carry on wielding the Talon of Horus? Why, for somebody who says the past doesn't bother him and he wants to leave it there and the failures of the past, why does he drape himself in the past? For somebody who says he doesn't care about what happened in the Horus Heresy, screw that, we make our own destiny, that's fine. But what are you wearing, dude? Right? You're wearing the Talon of Horus. He's a contradiction, and that can be a big strength. It's a character with depth, and with nuance, and with feeling. One of the main negatives for Abaddon is that we do not get to see inside of his brain to have all of this confirmed for us. Let's move on to the negatives, shall we? One massive part of the negatives that I can bring out in front of you here, in 2 words, plot armor. There is a big issue with Abaddon getting involved in nearly everybody in the 40k universe, and that is the fact that he can't die. Not only can he not die, but he seems to get away with a lot of things that other characters simply don't. In the Horus Heresy, he is dead to rights when fighting Sigismund. Dead to rights. Gone. Finito. Dead. And he's teleported away at the last second before Sigismund's blade can bite home. That's lame. That is very, very, very lame. And as we got towards the end of the Horus Heresy books, we started to see the plot armor of Abaddon, because he needs to survive, obviously, because he's going to come back in the 41st millennium. We started to see that weigh down what he was doing. Okay? We really did. We started to see that weigh down where he was going and what he was doing. In the modern 40k setting, it's even worse. Abaddon regularly loses fights. To Celestine and an old man on Cadia, for example. Yuzaka Creed. I mean, for God's sake. He should have been blown away in 2 seconds by Abaddon, but no. He keeps losing, but surviving. There is those of you who've been on the channel for a while will know that I often attribute, it's a weird phenomenon, but I attribute a lot of 40k's writing decisions to be very similar to wrestling booking decisions. For those of you who don't know, wrestling isn't real, shock horror, but quite a lot of the time, the booker of a show or a federation or a company will decide who their champion is, who's going to win certain fights to push the story on, to make it more entertaining, to make it more gripping for the audience. There was a guy a little while ago, about 10 years ago, called Rey Mysterio. He's still going now. I know. Rey Mysterio, Abaddon the Despoiler. How are they similar? I'll tell you. A decade or so ago, Rey Mysterio, who was very, very, very small, he's a very small person, he won the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, that in and of itself is not news. What is news is what happens afterwards. He wins the World Heavyweight Championship, but because of his size, he's booked to lose. A lot. Against people who are bigger than him. Because it makes sense that he loses a lot against people that are bigger than him. But it completely devalued the World Heavyweight Championship because you're seeing your champion getting mullered almost every other week, and the wins he does get are very circumstantial. But he's still shown by the company to be the big guy. He's the world champion. Look at this guy. Hey, do you like him? Isn't he cool? No, he sucks. He loses every week. Right? Because we can see. We've got eyes. They don't lie to you. Stop treating us like we're fucking idiots. Wrestling, please. And in the end, they realised, and they took the title off of him, and they started to rehabilitate his character by giving him wins, but taking the onus of World Heavyweight Champion from him, and giving it to somebody else, right? Now, Abaddon, hopefully you can see why I think these two are similar. Abaddon loses all the time. Like, literally all the time. And yet Games Workshop tell us that he is the big bad, that he's the one we need to worry about. He's the one who's going to bring the galaxy burning down to the ground. He's the one who's going to cast the Emperor off the Golden Throne and sit on it himself. Why? I don't know, but that's what's going to happen, right? And then he proceeds to lose. Almost every time he loses. Why? Because Chaos can't be allowed to win. I get that. Look, you can't have Chaos running roughshod over the entire galaxy. And to be honest, as I've already said, Abaddon's already kind of won. He's got the Great Rift going on there. He's got Eternal War. He's got what he wanted. Right? His 13 Black Crusades were successes, quote unquote. But you can't tell us one thing and then show us another. That's my issue. One of my main issues with this plot armor. You can't tell us that Abaddon's the big bad and then show him getting his shit pushed in by nearly every single good guy in the galaxy. You can't do that. You know? Moving on. The 13th Black Crusades were wins, actually. No, really. Yeah, this is another thing of Games Workshop telling you how to enjoy a story rather than just telling you a story. I'm flabbergasted how people were actually surprised that when the Fem Stodes things happened and Games Workshop responded by saying, well, they've always been in the canon, it's your fault. Right? I don't get why you're surprised that they've said that. This is how arrogant they are. They don't care about their own lore. They really don't. They couldn't give a monkeys about their own lore. It's at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of their priority lists. It's selling models, making sure the game's popular, and a distant third is the lore. Distant third. So when Games Workshop turned around to us and they told us, actually, no, the Black Crusades that Abaddon's lost, yeah, the other 12 that he's lost, they were actually wins. Because we're going to retcon them so that he was just putting the places, building blocks in place to create the Great Rift and to tear the galaxy apart. Now, the Great Rift is an elegant solution to Abaddon's final quest. And you know, I like the Great Rift in and of itself. It's not a bad thing, you know. But it would have been fine to just have Abaddon win the 13th Black Crusade. That would have been fine. And just say, yeah, the other 12, he was practicing. He was getting more and more and more, you know, knowing the Imperium strengths and weaknesses, and now he's won the 13th one, and that's created the Great Rift. Because the Imperium, this is how Chaos cheats, right? Chaos can lose 90 million times, but the Imperium only needs to lose once. Okay? Do you know what Abaddon the Despoiler is? He's the player character in a video game. Think about it. When you're playing a video game, you can die and die and die and die and die again. Undertale does this very well, right? Where it shows you, you know, you're more powerful than they are because you can die constantly and come back. They can't. You can die 90,000 times, but as long as you win once, you win. And you're fighting these enemies who, if they die, that's it. They only get one life. That's the Imperium against Abaddon. If they'd have written it like that, that would have been fine. If Abaddon even dies and comes back constantly, that's fine as well, right? Because it's cheating. That's what Chaos does, right? He cheats. Chaos cheats. They keep coming back 13 times. The Imperium has won 12 times. But the one time they lose is the 13th Black Crusade and all shit hits the fan. That would be great. But instead, what we got was Games Workshop treating us like we're fucking morons and telling us, no. The other 12 Great Crusades, yeah, Black Crusades, they were successful. You're just stupid. You're just stupid. They were successful. You didn't read it properly. Right? Nothing to see here. One of the main issues with Abaddon is that he is literally Games Workshop giving the middle finger to everybody in who has a brain reading the books, reading the setting. It's one of the main issues. It's Gilliman, but in reverse. It is. It's Gilliman, but in reverse. Abaddon wins, lol. Right? He will lose 9/10 of the battles he's in, then he will focus on the one that he wins sometimes. You know, things like that. It's ridiculous, and that is not how you write a villain. Alright? One of the other things I've got 2 more things I want to press on. What is his end goal? What does Abaddon want? We touched on this before, of what I think his actual goal is. But in terms of Games Workshop, what do they tell you Abaddon's goal is? Forget what my writing for a minute. Forget the Exile-verse version of Abaddon the Despoiler. What does Games Workshop tell you he wants? He wants to rule the galaxy. Right? He wants to avenge the loss of the Horus Heresy by taking over the Imperium. What does he want to do when he gets there? Dunno. How's he going to supplant the Emperor? Dunno. How's he going to stop Warp from, like, taking over everything and destroying everything he's trying to rule? Dunno. What I'm trying to get at is Games Workshop's motivations for Abaddon's character fucking suck. They suck ass. Okay? It's like he hasn't thought it through. This guy who apparently planned 13 Black Crusades over 10,000 years can't think far enough ahead of what's going to happen if he actually wins. That's stupid. That's really, really, really retarded. That is, if somebody came to me with their setting and they came to me with this is the one weakness where I'd be like, this is the Achilles heel. If I flick this, your entire setting falls apart. Right? If I flick this here, ding, the whole sculpture comes tumbling down. Because Abaddon's aims, his goals in Warhammer 40k don't make sense. One of the core reasons why he doesn't make sense, and he's not a good villain in Warhammer 40,000. And the last one I want to touch on is I'm going to stand up for Abaddon here a little bit, right? If you're going to have a main villain, he needs to be the main villain. All Abaddon is right now is a plot device for cooler Chaos characters to meet. The Night Lords trilogy. Let's talk about that for a second, right? We have Talos in there. And what does he do? He meets Abaddon. He defies Abaddon and he gets away with it. You know, he meets Abaddon, defies him, gets away with it. Fair enough. We then have Vashtor, the new Chaos dude, the new big bad, coming in. What does he do? He finds Abaddon, manipulates him, because Abaddon's a fucking moron, and goes along with his plans. All Abaddon does is he is a mercenary service that he hires out to more interesting Chaos characters. That's literally all he does. He is a plot device for other Chaos characters to meet and say hello to before they go off and do their own thing. That's more interesting than whatever Abaddon is doing. That's the main crux with him, for me. Aside from everything else. He deserves more respect than that. Abaddon, you shouldn't want to meet Abaddon if you're a Chaos dude who's not in the Black Legion. Right? That's the last guy you want to come across. He's going to be like, oh, you don't want to be in the Black Legion? Die. Right? He should be the last person you want to come across. And yet all he is a foil for everybody else. He's a launching pad for everybody else's stories on the Chaos side of the setting. People like Talos, people like Vashtor, even I bet you even Luther will come across him at one stage, and he'll have his 5 minutes with him. The people that he doesn't come across are the Primarchs, because the Primarchs see him as beneath them. That's a slap in the face of one of the best characters 40k has. Alright? That's really shitty. People like Perturabo, you know, the more human Primarchs, who were Chaos bound but still kind of human, they should want to work with this guy. They should see, they shouldn't like it, but they should see the upside of working with him. But they don't, do they? He never meets a Primarch. Do you know why? Because the Primarch would kill him. It's very simple. The Primarch would kill him. Is what it is. Fulgrim would kill him. Mortarion would kill him. Right? Perturabo would kill him. There's not one Primarch on the... Even Lorgar would kill him. There's not one Primarch on the Chaos side who will meet Abaddon ever in the lore. Why? Because they'll kill him. They'll be like, impudent whelp, and they'll just kill him. That'll be the end of him. And that's the main issue with him, I think. The main issue with him is that he's presented as this big bad, this ultimate big bad dude, but you know, without a shadow of a doubt, as soon as he comes across anybody with any backbone, he will be cast down and defeated. That's why other people like Decimus kind of work as the big bad of Chaos. Why? Because you know Decimus would lose against the Primarch. He knows that. Games Workshop knows that. And so part of the fun is him staying ahead of the Demon Primarchs and forming his own vast legion of Chaos Space Marines that are free of demonic taint. That's part of the fun. Because we know if he's cornered by one of these guys, it's trouble. That's trouble. He's an underdog. Don't present your underdog, right, as the main hero who batters everybody. That's what I mean. That there is a big discordia around Abaddon's presentation and what actually happens in the story. There's a big disconnect there. And that's the main issue with Abaddon's character. Beyond his plot armor, beyond everything else, there is a huge disparity between the Abaddon we are presented with, that Games Workshop wants us to see, and the Abaddon that actually exists. And what he does, and when, and why, and how. You know? That's the main crux of Abaddon's main weakness as a part of Chaos as a whole, right? At least for me. So, that is my video on Abaddon the Despoiler. Do you think I'm being fair? Because I've tried this time to stay on his good side. Not his good side, but you know what I mean? Just to make sure that he's getting his time in the sun, and that we are actually putting some respect in this dude's name. He's Abaddon the Despoiler, dude. He deserves better than what he's getting. I firmly believe that. Absolutely firmly believe that. You know? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'll be back tomorrow with some more Hobby Nightmares. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. And I'll see you then. Alright? Have a good one. Bye now.